The live stream from Grace Lutheran Church will begin at 6 o'clock.
outspoken in a couple of places. So I'm not sure I get back into Israel. So that's one of the reasons why, I've kind of given up trying to go back. And maybe because I don't want to get there and be turned away. Well, I'm a member of Jewish Voice for Peace.
Yes, we can. Kusta. Kusta. K with the umlaut, with the two dots. S-T-E-R. Kusta. Kusta. And it means, actually, a kusta is like what is it? It's sexton in a church. Who takes care of them? Which I think is really funny. But I was.
We're going to go ahead and head on in. So you and you and you and you, we're going into the sanctuary. So, hey Gisela, we're still going into the sanctuary. Into the sanctuary, everyone. It's this direction. Okay. Come on in. There's room in the front. Nice. Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for sitting just on this side so we can stay compact. I appreciate it. It is great to have you all here, and I know I pried you away from the food, but I promise there will be more later. I just knew that if we didn't get started on this, we wouldn't finish this, and then we'd have a not as deliberate an opportunity to hear from Pastor Mitri. So I think I know most all of you. I'm Pastor Matt Smuts, the senior pastor here at Grace. We're glad you're here. I was going to mention that we have a great reception for afterwards, but I think you're halfway there. So we're in business on that front. So I will just quickly get out of the way, but a welcome to Mitri, Raheb. We are so glad that you are here. Welcome.
Yeah, good evening, and really it's great to be back here in this church. Thank you, Pastor Matt, for all your hospitality, and great to meet also Ulrike here for the second time. And I mean, many of you are old friends that know actually a lot about our work, but I'm glad, I think that we have some new people also. that maybe will hear about this for the first time. Are there any people who haven't heard of Bright Stars of Bethlehem here? Okay, so everyone, you see, you are very successful. Okay. So I will share with you a few things about what's happening in Palestine, and my colleague Chris will share something also about Bright Stars of Bethlehem. But I think with this group, I would love to have time for a bit more in-depth discussion. I think this group is really great, that we can talk about things that we cannot talk with a large group where, you know, we will start with Adam and Eve, and so I'm not going to start there, okay? I mean, who would have thought that a small ministry that started back in '95 in the crypt of the church will develop 25 years to become a full-fledged university. If you would have told me that 25 years ago, I would have laughed like Sarah when she was told she's getting pregnant with 90, right? Because it's amazing. It's beyond our understanding. And for me, it's actually nothing but a miracle that something can happen. It's actually a miracle everywhere when something like this happens. But when something like this happens in Palestine, in the most difficult situation where we are facing all of this oppression, where we cannot move freely, where, you know, we lack resources, human resources, financial resources, this is more than a miracle. And for me, I mean, I believe truly that God has put us in the right place, which is Palestine, at the right moment, which is a very difficult moment. I'm not sure if I had to choose that, I will choose this moment. But it was the right moment in God's eyes. And I think He gave us the right vision. A vision that is unique and that is so much needed. It's not a vision that is a kind of a luxury, but it's a vision that really responds to the direct need of the people. But also, He put us with the right people. The right staff in Bethlehem, amazing staff. You know, we have now on staff around 115 people. 115. Yeah. So 115, 115. Yeah. Yeah, 115. But I mean, imagine, you know, from a one-man show in '95, where basically I was the man and I was the show at the same time, right? You know, to have this, not only 115, but I mean, very equipped people, very committed. When we started, there weren't many with PhDs in art, in music, in film. So we had to send many of our staff abroad to get their higher education. And guess what? Every one of them came back. Not one single one stayed abroad because they saw the vision and they wanted to do part of it. But also God has put us with the right people, which are you. Without you, actually, we cannot do what we are doing. I mean, we have here, you know, board members who are working hard. We have here ambassadors, you know, Marcia and Fuad, who are working hard. We have here great friends and supporters like the Dates. We have here great supporters, you know, like Judy, who donated many of her paintings to us, and Mrs. Kishi, and, you know, all of you, really, you are who make all of this possible. So let me share with you a bit about, because you know that this is the first and only university with a focus on arts and culture in the whole of Palestine. You know that. You know that we started with 18 students 2006 when we got the accreditation as a community college, and now we have around 500 students. And if you look at the chart, you know, it keeps growing day by day, which is really amazing. But this year, we got the accreditation of 4 new programs. I'm trying to tell you something new that even those who were there yesterday will not feel bored, because I cannot repeat the same story twice. I get bored, so I need always something new, okay? So this year we got actually accreditation of 4 new programs, which are really exciting. First, we got the accreditation for the first dance degree in Palestine. And actually, people at the Ministry of Higher Education, they said, no, dance, you cannot teach dance in Palestine. I mean, you know, because in Arabic, ra'is, which means dance, is like looked upon down, like it's something dirty. And it's not an art. Anyhow, we fought, and we got the accreditation. And we are starting now, actually, this month, with the first cohort in dance. And we are really very excited about this new program. Then, we got this year the accreditation in architecture. And this is the first university in Palestine where architecture is part of not engineering, but part of the art faculty. Many of the good universities in this country have architecture under art, not under engineering. In our part of the world, it's all under engineering. So this is exciting, and we think this will really bring a different twist to the architectural development in Palestine. Then we got the accreditation for our first 2 new master degrees. A master degree in art, in visual and performing art, where students can focus on either film or music or contemporary art. And it's amazing. When you come, we started on September 5th, and these students, they come only 2 days because they work. You know how it is here when people do masters. So they come Friday, Saturday. Friday and Saturday are the holidays, so they come on the holiday. You know, if you come on Friday and you see all of these artists who are doing now their masters, they are very well known in Palestine, but they didn't have a master. Now they want to have a master. And you think this is a bundle of energy, you know. It's so exciting. When you are with them, you feel this, you know, this creativity. It's in the air. You know, the interaction among them, I think this is going to get our university to a totally new heights, because all of these artists are well known, and then, you know, they are posting, we are at Dar al-Kalima University and getting our master degrees. They will encourage their students to come and do their bachelor at our university. So I cannot wait to see, you know, what God will do with them in the next 2 years when they are on campus. And the other master is in management of cultural institutions. Actually, we called it cultural institutions, but our main target group are church-related organizations beside cultural organizations. Because we did last year a study about the 296 church-related organizations in Palestine. And you can see the study. It's posted on our website. You can just download it for free. And one thing what we found is actually the majority of these 296 Christian organizations do not have adequate leadership to take these organizations into the next decade. So most probably many of these organizations will close within this, with this decade. And so we thought if we want really to help Christianity not only survive in Palestine, but thrive, the best thing we can do is not only to preach, but actually to train these future leaders for these organizations. And again, amazing, we were able to get for many of them scholarships so that they can afford to come and take this master's degree. And we have the target to train 40 in the coming 2 years, 40 leaders from these organizations to give them the adequate skills, the master's degree, and because most of these organizations, you know, they were doing things as it was in the beginning, is now, and they think it should be forever, right? I think, you know, they heard it so often in the church and they thought this is how it should be. But they really lack the vision and the mission and, you know, the skills, how to take these organizations to the next level. But also we have 700 cultural organizations in Palestine. And what is true for the Christian organization is also true for the cultural. When I say cultural, these are youth centers, these are art galleries, these are museums, these are archaeological sites, etc. Because there was no, and there is no degree like this in the whole of Palestine. So the 2 master's degrees and the dance are first of their kind in Palestine. We have in Palestine 49, believe it or not, 49 colleges and universities. Yeah, 49. None of them has a focus on arts and culture. None of them has a master in art. None of them has a master in management of cultural center. None of them has a master in dance. None of them has bachelor in film. You know, so, and I think if I look at those, you know, say since we get the accreditation as community college, that was 2006, so 16 years ago. When I look at what happened in Palestine because of our work, where we played a role, we weren't the only player, but we played, I think, a major role. You could see actually the difference that we were able to make in the life of our people. Not only to train people, but for example, many of you came to our university and center, and you saw the Last Supper in a Palestinian style. You remember this painting? Very famous painting. Yeah, it was in the dining room. In the dining room, you know. So I commissioned that back in 1998 by the most famous Palestinian artist. His name is Sliman Mansour, who happens to be a Lutheran, you know. And at that time, the cost of this painting, we paid him $6,000. The same artist, this were the prices for the best Palestinian artist, 1998. His painting was sold on Christie, you know Christie, the auctioneer, for $267,000. So within 20 years, you could see how actually we created a market for Palestinian art. Now, this Last Supper, they offered us $250,000 for it.
Who offered that?
Actually, somebody who, for a museum. I said, no, this is contextual theology. It's not for sale, right? But when we started, there were no films coming out of Palestine. Now, you look at the film industry. The chair of our film department, his film called The 18 Wanted, maybe some of you have seen that, was nominated for the Oscar, a few years ago. If you are on Netflix, there is right now a film called The Present, The Gift, right? And I'm not sure if any one of you has seen it. I see, yeah? So 8 of our students, if you look at the captions towards the end, you can see Dar al-Kalima University, and we have 8 of our students and graduates who actually worked on that film, which got the BAFTA, which is equal to the Oscar in England, yeah? So you can see these young people now are really creating an industry and telling the story in such a creative way that it would not have been possible before, So I can go on and on and on to tell you about the difference that, this university and, these young people are making in Palestine. A few other things. Again, this is all for you because you are so close to I don't tell usually these kinds of things to other groups, okay? One of our latest project, I think even Chris doesn't know this yet. I don't want you even to get bored, so you need always to get okay. Actually, this last spring, we started the first workshop, workshop in terms of a place with equipment, yeah? It's like a laboratory, okay? The first workshop to what is the word now? To rehabilitate artwork. To restore, yeah. To restore, because, we have such a wealth about, on terms of, painting, icons, you name it. And it is, believe it or not, the first workshop of its kind in the entire Middle East. Even Israel doesn't have a workshop like this. In Lebanon, there isn't a workshop like this. In Jordan, there is a workshop. And, just to get the equipment through Israeli security was a nightmare, because there are lots of chemicals you have to use. And, these chemicals are not allowed to enter Palestine. So it was a big theater just to get it. And we got actually 2 of the top restorers to come to Palestine and give the first course. And we had, I think, 26 students who participated in this, and they will go now for 2 years. And what they did is, we started actually with the exercise with these professors was to take 9 icons from the Greek Orthodox Church in Beit Jala from the 19th century and to restore them. And now they are restored and they are back in the church. It's amazing. And so, in 6 months, we will start with the icons from the 18th century. And next year, we will go 17th century and so on. And I think this is so exciting for the Orthodox Church because, they had all of this treasure, but really it was neglected because there was no one, skilled to do this kind of job. So we are really thrilled about this new idea. Another great program that we started last year was an entrepreneurial and innovation hub. And the idea was we don't want our students to sit there waiting for somebody to hire them, but we want them to develop their own ideas, their own businesses, and their own ideas that are marketable. And so right now, we will start actually next month, I think, doing something on NFT. I'm not sure if anyone here know what NFT is. Okay, these are all of these pictures and photos and paintings. Exactly, non-fungible token, which goes through, the blockchain and so on, and it's called NFT, non-fungible token. So these are like your painting is put on this blockchain and is sold. You will not sell the actual. You will sell just the image of it. Yeah, and the copy, nobody can take your copyright, and nobody can like copy it or something. Right. So this is the new thing. So again, because we said if our students cannot get their work abroad, the physical, then they can sell it this way. So but this is a very special thing. So that is now going on with the innovation and entrepreneurial hub. Again, that is really something that I think will push our students to the next level. So I mean, you can see really we don't lack creativity. It's just in that context where we feel sometimes it's just too much. I said it the other day. It's always we knew that we are going through Friday, right? But always we believe that Sunday is coming. But right now we feel it is a long Saturday, right? I mean, so we ask God all the time, how long, O Lord, how long? And when you live this, sometimes you feel Sunday is not coming. And you might lose hope and heart. But really, whenever I come close to losing hope and heart, I go and meet with our students and get again energized by their energy so that we can continue this journey together. The last thing I would like to mention is our hospitality training center that is planned. Always tourism was important for us. Back in 1996, we were the first organization. We didn't have a university. We were just starting with Dar al-Nadwa, with the International Center of Bethlehem, and we got the first award in socially responsible tourism. And now we want to take this into the next level and introducing culinary tourism. And part of this culinary tourism, actually, there is a construction project. And it has two sides. One is to have a training kitchen with 8 different stations that can accommodate 16 students. So 16 students can cook at the same time, okay? But we want also to use this for groups who come. I know that Pastor Matt is planning a trip. So don't do it like he's now outside, but don't do it like, running where Jesus walked, right? But let's do something more creative. And so culinary art could be, half a day for culinary tourism. So that's the kitchen, but also there is this restaurant, training restaurant. And this is like, it's going to be a glass structure, light structure, on the top, exactly. And it is on the highest hill in Bethlehem. From there you can see the Dead Sea, you can see Jerusalem, you can see the old city of Bethlehem. 360-degree visibility. It doesn't turn, but if you have like 3 glasses of scotch, it might start, but, so. And it's a big project. It's a $1.4 million project. We thought, how can we, do that? Thanks God, just last week, we heard from USAID. They have a program called American Schools and Hospitals Abroad that they approved our proposal, and they are giving us $1 million for this project. So that is a great step forward. Now Chris has to raise the rest, 400,000, which is a piece of cake for you. I mean, it's but we will start actually next month now with this project, which should be concluded March 2024. So you have to come after that and to sit there and to be served. We say our tagline there is, hospitality is our spirituality. So that's our tagline. And most probably the name of the restaurant will be the Upper Room, but it's not fully decided, okay? I mean,
Does that concept sound good in Arabic?
yeah, Al-Aliyya in Arabic. Al-Aliyya, yeah. Yeah, there is an elevator. Yeah, there is an elevator.
Are you going to have that painting in the restaurant?
I don't think so. No, I don't think so. They will kill us because it.
I was wondering if the painting is going to be in the restaurant.
Yeah, it is now in the gallery. It has.
Maybe a poster.
Yeah. So I think if you look of all of this, you see, and this is why, tourism, since now Matt is back, tourism is really important, not only because 70% of our economy depends on that, but also because, tourism is so important about also our identity. Israel is trying to steal from us the hummus and the tabbouleh and all these kinds of things as Israeli falafel, etc. And so that is really important.
We're going back in 2024.
Yeah, we will, exactly, yeah. So there is, Matt is announcing a trip today, 2024, and if you sign up today, you will get 15% deduction. Just some marketing. Yeah, but really tourism is so important, and culinary tourism in particular is also important. The last thing I would like to mention is that for us at the university, we have a big emphasis on gender equality. And this is very important. So I think we can compete with even any university in this country. Fuad doesn't like me when I say even with Stanford. On gender equality only, okay? Only on gender equality. Because if you look at our board, 50% of our board members are women. If you look at the vice presidents, 60% of the vice presidents are women. So I have 5 vice presidents, 3 are women, 2 are men. If you look at our faculty, 49% are women. If you look at our deans, 50% are women. If you look at our student body, 62% are women. 76% of our students are Muslims, 24% are Christians. But imagine 62% women and 76% Muslims. So when you come, you feel this, the energy, and this is for us a model. This is a statement we want to make in that context. And we are proud that we can make that statement as well. So please continue to pray for us, because without your prayer, sometimes, we might lose heart. We need your support. It's very important for us. But our friends here, they really rock. So thank you very much. And Chris, this is now your turn.
Thank you, Mitri. Okay, I'm very excited to be here. I see a lot of friends' faces in the audience, and I've met some people for the first time that I've been talking to on FaceTime for like 2.5 years. But can we all agree that Mitri is a world changer? Yeah. Can we, right? So, show of hands, who in here at any time in your life have you wanted to change the world and make the world a better place? Right? Okay, we can all say that. Okay, so in an effort to not bore Mitri and other friends that I was with last night, I would like to share some things that maybe Mitri hasn't even heard. Last night we talked to an audience that were largely arts involved. And today I'd like to share some things about how God has worked in the Bright Stars ministry and in my life to bring me to the place where I am in the best job I've ever had, and hopefully the job that I'll keep until I retire. So starting from a little girl, I always wanted to change the world. I was always desperately seeking truth and wanting to do something that that made the world a better place. I started out my college major was special ed for the visually handicapped, and then I switched over to psychology. And then when I graduated, I started working for an international substance abuse prevention agency. From there, I ended up developing my own substance abuse early intervention program for at-risk teens. And from there, ended up having 4 children, and then really, really wanting to stay with, work with children again. So I over the years consulted and worked in a setting in a police station where I would get referrals from kids who had, smoked pot, drank at school, delinquency issues and stuff like that. And I prayed. It was a secular program, but I prayed for the kids, and I desperately prayed for the families that they would have healing in their lives. And there was a lot of trauma going on with these kids, right? The other thing I want to say is that I grew up on the south side of Chicago in a very, very blue-collar, very racist, all-white neighborhood, 100% white neighborhood. And I went to an all-white kindergarten through 8th grade school. And then I was bused to a predominantly black high school. So as a young freshman in high school, I was in culture shock. But I also have to say that God, over a number of years, really showed me that I had this sin of racism in my heart. And I really, really, it's something that you grow up as a small child. It's just, it's insidious. It's tiny little things that are happening. From the games you play, eeny, meeny, miny, mo, to, whatever. I mean, it's insidious. And so when I got to college, I still, everything was very segregated. So in high school, I was on the one white bus, and again, in my heart, I really had this opinion that we as Caucasians were better than. And I'm telling you this very transparently. Not many people are willing to admit this, but I really felt like, because of the way I grew up, that, even though I've got a lot of trauma in my life, look what's happening over here. These kids are, lesser than, right? So then I went to college. Then I graduated with a degree in psychology, started doing these other programs. I moved to Colorado Springs and had a black pastor and a white pastor for the first time ever, started having some very real conversations, and ended up, God sort of got a hold of my heart and started showing me the ways that I had the sin of racism. And it was like, wow, I didn't, I had blinders on, huge blinders, right? And I was marginalizing a whole other people group and looking at them as lesser than. So as that God started working in my heart in that way, I started listening to things that white Christian, wonderful female friends in my church were saying. And I'm like, well, that's kind of racist. God, the blinders started coming down. So as I was, God was teaching me some things in those ways, I ended up moving to California and working for a very conservative Christian university. And again, God continued to work on my heart. As I was at that university, I felt an immense sense of being marginalized myself as a woman in that context. And I felt that my spirit was being squelched. I was not able to use my gifts. I just felt like I was looked at as lesser than, as a woman, So after leaving, we moved back to the Chicagoland area after we left California. And that involved a 2,000-pound tree that fell into our house in Illinois. So a total act of God. So we moved back to Illinois, and I was really, and I was still working for that Christian university. I was flying back and forth, and I was really convicted about, just asking God and deeply praying about God to use my gifts in a way that I wasn't squelched. But also, I really loved working at the university with any professor that was doing something international. I'd be like, yeah, I'm all, let's talk about this, because I'd help them develop the grants, and I was working with foundations. But that was even squelched. So every time I tried to do something international, it would be like, no, that's not a priority. So I started praying and asking God to help me to find a job that I could use these gifts, but I asked Him to help me to come alongside a marginalized people group and be able to use my fundraising gifts, to use my program development, and to really love, a group of people and really live out the rest of my life doing something that truly made a difference. And at that time, it was like 2 months before COVID hit, like maybe 4 months before COVID hit, and I had quit my job at the university, and I was getting my master's degree in education with a focus on trauma-informed education. And then my ex-husband lost his job, and then I'm like, okay, I guess both of us have to search for full-time jobs. So I'm like, okay, Lord, help me to find a job that I can, and I was very specific. I'm like, I would like a job that has a foundation in faith and truth, that has something to do with education, particularly higher education. And I love the arts, and in doing my program with the at-risk teens, I would do work in the lockup facilities with teens, and it always involved art, and I knew that was something that helped to flourish. My kids are all musicians and artists, and so I wanted something to do with art, and I wanted to do something with a marginalized people group that was international. So I'm praying, and then I was almost offered 2 jobs. I was interviewing virtually for universities back in California, and some of them had to do with racial injustice, stuff like that. And then I get an email from a executive search headhunter, and it comes across my email, and it was very cryptic. It was like something to do with social justice and human rights, but it didn't say what the organization was. I'm like, oh, this could be like a pyramid scheme or something, I don't know. So I ended up returning the email and saying, this looks interesting. The woman interviewed me a couple times, still didn't tell me what the organization was. Finally, she revealed what the organization was, and I had absolutely no knowledge about anything. Again, college degree, almost a master's degree. I'm telling you, I was so super ignorant to the issues, related to Palestine. But I'm like, this sounds interesting, and it sounds like it's definitely something I'm interested in. I ended up reading 3 of Mitri's books in a matter of like 2 weeks. And then I'm like, wow, this is absolutely something that I'm interested in. So I am so thankful to God that the board gave me a chance. Also, that when they found out that I worked at this like very conservative Christian university, I am so glad that they gave me a chance, because again, this university is very Zionistic, I believe, or at least many of them are. And but again, I had no idea. And after reading his books, that's all it took was to hear these stories, and my heart opened up. So I want to say also that this headhunter, I called her and I said, after they ended up offering me the job during COVID, and without ever having met me in person, and I called this headhunter and I said, how did you get my resume? And she said, Chris, I've looked into it and I have no idea where we got your resume. So I believe that was truly a God thing. So I don't normally share this. You're the first group that I've shared this with, but I just wanted to show you how God has worked in this situation. I mean, it has been my absolute honor and pleasure and life dream to work for this organization, because I am here to tell you that, again, some people ask me, Chris, isn't it hard to fundraise? Like, isn't it kind of awkward and you're begging people for money? And just like I said, Mitri is a world changer. Each and every one of you, dear friends who support Bright Stars, you're world changers too, because of your alignment with this very special organization. And I feel like I am too. I've finally gotten my prayer answered. So I just want to thank each of you that do fund Bright Stars or partner with us, or you're an ambassador, or you volunteer in any way, or you're a church that you tell your congregation about Bright Stars. I want to end with 3 stories about the students. I was unable for 2.5 years to have my own stories to tell. So I had to rely on stories from Jeanette and from the Dietz and from Martha and Fuad and all of our friends here. I asked people to do videos over the last 2 years, to talk about their stories and why they support Bright Stars. And then I was able also to communicate with these precious students by Zoom calling them. And it was so crazy to be able to Zoom call, Ismail in Gaza, right? I mean, like, crazy thought that we can do that now. So one story about Ismail. When I first started interviewing him, he was so excited, and he didn't have a lot of English at the time. And he had his professor, and he wanted his professor to be there to be able to translate. And so a professor from the university was there, and we're all Zooming, and we're talking, and then all of a sudden it went blank. The screen went blank for these 2 gentlemen. And I was still talking to the professor, and I'm like, where'd they go? And then about 15 minutes later, they show up, and they're like, what they had to do is jump in a car and go across town to find a place where the internet was working. So that is an example of the incredible ingenuity and perseverance. There's a word called samud, which means perseverance, right? Okay, so that was early on. And Ismail's paintings, or his drawings in the beginning when we first met him, so dark. I mean, really, really, like pencil drawings with very sad, like mothers that the children were holding onto her leg because they're scared of the bombs. That was early on, because he's been through how many wars, right, in Gaza? And then as his art started evolving, because he actually applied to Dar al-Kalama, and his application was accepted. He was so excited, but then Israel wouldn't let him come. So, but then, you may have heard this story, that Mitri went to Gaza and had, was it over 100 or 200 young people? Was it Instagram or Facebook friended him, and then said, we want a program in Gaza. And then, how many years ago was it that we established the program? 4 years ago, we now have a satellite program in Gaza. And then Ismail was able to go to that program. And a couple years ago, I wish I had my business cards. I have his painting that we commissioned him to do on my card. His paintings now are colorful and beautiful and full of hope, right? So at Bright Stars, our slogan is "Hope is what we do." And we talk about empowering the next generation of creative leaders in Palestine. And our mission, again, is to raise awareness and support for DAK, Dar al-Kalima University, the first and only University of Arts and Culture in all of Palestine. We recently tweaked that mission because we wanted to say all of Palestine, because now we have that Gaza satellite program. So there's Ismail, and now I'm happy to tell you that about a month ago, Ismail was able to, his dream to be a world changer was to do his art in Europe. And about a month ago, he flew. It was very scary for him, but he had to travel through Egypt, and he ended up moving to Stockholm, Sweden, and now he's doing his art there. But most of the kids stay in Palestine. So another story I want to tell you is when I went to the university to visit, I asked Mitri if he could show me the film editing bays, and my daughter's a filmmaker, and she also does NFTs, right, Mitri? So my daughter, Summer, has somehow found a way as an artist. She's a filmmaker, but also a photographer. She has somehow found a way to be successful financially with her photography, and it's taking off like wildfire, and now she's going to consult with DAK, with the professors, because universities don't even have the knowledge about how to market NFTs right now. So the young people are all doing that. Anyway, so I was in the film editing bay. He opens up the door. There's these two young women. They are busy working on editing something, and I look at the screen, and there's an art piece up on the screen that they're doing something with an art piece in the film. And I said, "What are you doing?" And Mitri translated, very animated, and they said, "There's an Israeli filmmaker who had decided to do a documentary on Palestinian prisoners in the Israeli prison." And the Palestinian film community is like, is that going to show our narrative? I don't know. And he's like, no, it'll be fine. And then when he got it done, they were like, this is not good. So these brave two young women decided to deconstruct his documentary and reconstruct it with, so what was up on the screen was a piece of artwork from one of their fellow students, who is a 37-year-old older student, because he was in a Palestinian prison for 7 years. I'm sorry, not Palestinian prison. Sorry, an Israeli prison for 7 years, and he had his own narrative that he wanted to tell, and the artwork was his artwork, and then they were doing videos of him, and they were splicing it in, editing it in to the other. Okay. So, and then also, the one young lady showed me a video of her being dragged across the cement by an Israeli soldier. And then she got detained, and then she somehow got a video of her from her attorney when she was being detained and interrogated. And he was pounding his fist, and she was crying and cowering. And they're putting that into their film. So I'm hoping to share with all of you, because they're going to have the film with subtitles. I'd also like to see myself the Israeli film to see how it compares. So I'd love to share that. Anyway, I'm like, ladies, how did you get permission to do this? And they got real animated. They're like, this is our narrative. We do not need permission to do this. And I said, that's creative resistance right there. And what I want to share with you is every single interaction and moment that I had with students at DAK when I was there for only 5 days. I had interview after interview and hug after hug. And there is something really special going on there. I've worked in higher education here in the United States. I've worked with young people for decades. I have never seen anything this special. And when we also interviewed the students, time and time again is what they said is, it's like family here. We feel comfortable to have conversations. I'm Muslim, and I normally, feel uncomfortable, maybe the whole gender thing, talking to men talking to women, but we feel like this is family. And the Christian Muslim thing, there was such a beautiful sense of love and hope. And that's what I want to leave you all with, is that if you're not already partnering with Bright Stars, either as an ambassador or a donor or praying for us, I just invite you to be a world changer with us. I'm sure you are in other ways in your life, but I just invite you to change the world. This is a world-changing organization, and it's really making a difference in making the world a better place. And I believe that God's hand is all over this. And I thank each of you that are donors already or friends in any way. Oh, you've got your keychain. That's Ismail's painting, yes. All right. God bless you all, and thank you for what you do for Bright Stars.
Yeah, Pastor Matt, yeah. Should we take a few questions?
I think we can take some questions now, or would it make some sense to go and move into the reception and make it more casual? What would be your preference?
Maybe let's take 3 questions, and then we go and have some wine, and then I'm not sure if I can answer questions.
So 3 questions.
So with the gender equality that you have, and with women involved in creating so much of the art in various forms, do you have a website, or for example, the Iranian women who are trying to put up some resistance can see this model and draw animation or both from that?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you know, we have several websites. There is the website of the university, and you can go there and see all of that. But we have also other websites. We set up a new website to sell also the art of students, especially from Gaza, but also from the West Bank. And we ship the pieces abroad. And there is about each artist, there is a kind of a short bio. So people, and there are many women, I mean, really many women there on that website. Yeah, I mean, these are some ways, but if you look also on YouTube, there is so much stuff, I mean, coming out of the university, yeah. Okay, another question, maybe before we, yeah, please.
Did you have a new idea that you didn't actually make into a program?
Sorry?
Did you ever have a new idea that you didn't actually make into a program?
Yeah, it's a good question, actually. It's a very good question. No, what is really interesting is that if you go to Bethlehem and ask people about Dar al-Kalima, they tell you this is maybe the only organizations in Palestine, and I'm not really exaggerating. When they say something, they do it. Because there is so much talk, you know. I mean, when you go to Palestine, people talk. And I always say, you know, Jesus on purpose did not say, blessed are the peace talker. Right? I mean, you know, it's peacemaking, you know, and so, yeah, so that's what it is. Fuad?
If we can go back in time when the hill was still empty with no college, can you tell us a little bit about who owned the land and how it became part of the Lutheran Church, and how you were able to build a college on it? I think that's an important part of history that we need to kind of remind ourselves about it.
So Fuad want me to dig a bit more deeper into some aspects. But that's, again, another great story, another miracle.
Before you go into it, that's creative resistance, by the way.
Yeah, you know, we had this idea, and we felt this call to establish, you know, at that time we were thinking of a center teaching art, giving courses. That was the, and so we started downtown, but as this program started growing, we needed space. And, you know, if you were at Christmas Lutheran Church, it's so confined, there is nothing there what you can do. So we had to look for other, but land is very expensive because Israel has taken all the land around Bethlehem. So now, you know. But when I did my doctorate in Germany, I knew the history of one piece of land that used to belong to the church, and not really the church, because it was registered in the name of the German missionary, his personal name. And then that was confiscated by the British 1917, because, you know, Britain took over. And so that was lost. And then it became state land. It was registered in the name of the government. Yeah, it was the the British, then the Jordanian government had it as their. And then when Israel took over the West Bank, so Israel got control of that land. They had a military watchtower there with soldiers. So when I came back from Germany, I thought, and we had this idea, I thought maybe we can get a piece of that land back. We started with the Israeli, but they wouldn't give us the land back. When the Palestinian Authority came, Arafat, I thought maybe now we have a better chance. But how to do it? You cannot just go there and tell, Arafat, I have this vision at night and I need the land, So what we did actually, which is amazing, thinking about it in retrospect, we hired one of the top architects in the world. He's an Italian architect. His name is Portuguese. You look him up. All of his designs are taken from fauna. Plants, etc. So we hired him. We brought him from Italy. We showed him the mountain, which is not ours. Okay, there were only rocks on that mountain, and we said we would like you to develop for us a master plan. If we were to do here a University of the Art, how would this mountain look like? And it's very impressive. His art is very impressive. So he did really, for us, a master plan with 7 buildings. Okay? And so I took these plans and went to Arafat and said, we want to do this. I guess he thought, you are crazy. This is like $200 million project. I mean, where will you get the money? Yeah. Anyhow, he was impressed with the idea. But, this mountain is so precious that all the mafias wanted to have the land. And you cannot imagine. Our current prime minister wanted to have the land, our current, So we needed to do some arm twisting. So when Arafat went to Germany on a state visit, we were in contact with German ambassador in Palestine and the foreign minister, Kinkel. He died, and we told him the story, and he promised to take up this issue with Arafat during his visit. And just to make sure that this will really somehow got on record, we sent a journalist to the press conference to ask Arafat directly, are you going to give this piece of land to Dar al-Kalima? Which he said yes. So anyhow, this is what happened. But Arafat said on one condition, you have to have the first building up and running in 1 year. And all what we had that time, maybe it was exactly 70,000 Swiss franc, maybe at that time, $50,000. And we said, okay, we'll do it. He came, he broke ground with us. There are pictures of that, though we didn't have but, we did it in faith. And today, 5 of the 7 buildings are up and running. So there are 2 more. Hopefully, before I retire, I can finish them, and then the next generation have to continue with the new master plan. So that's the story.